Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 12, and this video is for Michael and Jasmina. Be sure to check out my other videos on the other couples and the after party. But after this video, there'll be a link and you can click on the picture and go to the video of the other couples. So let's get into it for Michael and Jasmina. I tell y'all, this is my most disappointing couple. I keep telling you, I've had so many emotions with Michael and Jasmina. They were my favorite couple in the beginning. I was loving me some Jasmina and some Michael. Then my enthusiasm, excitement, and overjoy turned to disappointment, anger towards Jasmina because I just couldn't believe who she showed up. Then I figured out what was really going on with Jasmina, and I figured out that all this tough exterior meanness and angry woman business she was doing was all a cover-up for her fear. And now if you watch my videos, you'll know how I said this about Olajuwon. A lot of his outbursts and bad behaviors is because of fear as well. Now listen, this doesn't give an excuse. I really don't want people to think that because I'm understanding people, it means I excuse their behavior. I absolutely do not. But what I like to do is when you truly understand a person, then you can start solving problems. We are now starting to see that Jasmina is starting to feel more comfortable with Michael, and she's starting to let her guard down. We are seeing them laughing and having a good time, and I'm really enjoying it. My disappointment comes because it's taken so long to get here, and the damage she did in the early part of the relationship, I'm still not sure that we can recover. I really hope, and here I'm going out on a limb, you guys, I know you're going to be mad at me. I actually hope these two say yes on decision day. And let me tell you why. I think they need more time. I think they got off to such a bad start, mainly because of who Jasmina is. Mainly because Jasmina had no relationship experience. Mainly because Jasmina presented as this confident, assured woman. And the truth of the matter, she was scared and insecure in the area of relationships. She might be self-assured and confident in other areas, her career and other areas. But in the area of relationships, she's scary. And this whole thing about her not knowing how to drive, no, I'm not blowing that off just because she lives in a city with great transportation. That's also an area of fear. When Michael was teaching her how to drive, she was afraid. She was afraid to take a driver's test. And let me tell you, you're never afraid in just one area of your life. Typically, if you're a scary person, you're afraid in more than one areas of her life. So this idea that she's been afraid to take a driver's test also further solidifies for me that she was fearful in this relationship in the very beginning, and that tough exterior and that anger was all a cover-up. And I'm going to say, I don't believe Michael was ever aggressive with her, because when Michael was teaching her how to drive, he was calm and he was patient. If this had been Olajuwon trying to teach Katina how to drive, he would have been yelling and screaming at her. We all know that, but Michael was calm, he was nurturing, and he was patient with Jasmina. The problem with Michael and Jasmina is Michael got some bad advice in the beginning. His advice was for him to open up and he to be more vulnerable, and maybe that would make Jasmina feel more vulnerable. And actually, that didn't work, and it's still not working, actually, because he even mentioned it to his sister. He thought that if he opened up and told his stories and showed more of himself, it would make Jasmina open up. Nope. Actually, that isn't what makes Jasmina open up, because Jasmina doesn't like to hear your own stories of vulnerability. When Katina came over their apartment and started telling that story of how, how she was feeling, she started crying about how Olajuwon had talked to her, and Katina was crying. There was no comfort from Jasmina. She didn't hold her friend's hand. She didn't put her arm around her friend. She was she did have some empathy. You could tell she felt for her, but the way she expresses it is really not one of comfort. And Michael is kind of the same way. That is why she could never comfort Michael in his stories of when he was feeling vulnerable, because when Jasmina hears stories of people's feeling vulnerable, it makes her uncomfortable. It actually doesn't make her open up. So all those stories Michael was telling her, it actually didn't open up Jasmina. It actually closed her off more. And very emotionally intelligent, Jasmina has nothing in the tank for you. She barely has anything in the tank for her. Don't go to her to get consoled, because that ain't gonna be Jasmina's job. Her job as a friend may be your straight shooter, but it definitely ain't gonna be to wrap her arms around you and give you a hug. But I think Michael is finally getting it. He has finally woken up and put the pieces together and figured out what was going on with he and Jasmina. He has figured out that they were both the same people. They both were being hesitant. They both were holding back because they both were scared. But here's the thing. Michael was always told that Jasmina wasn't scared. She was emotionally intelligent. He always knew he was, but he came into the relationship believing she was going to be the superior one in the emotions, and she really wasn't. He even talks about that this has been the longest time that he's ever not made a move on a girlfriend. This is the longest time he's ever dated a woman and hasn't been physically intimate with her. What he is talking about is he's afraid to touch Jasmina. He's afraid to make a move on Jasmina because the way Jasmina treated him early on in the relationship. But here's the rub on it. It's actually what Jasmina needed. Jasmina bit at Michael in the beginning, but what she really needed was for a man to hug her. But what she really needed was for Michael really to actually hug her and make her feel safe and secure. But see, Jasmina, she masked so much, you didn't understand that for her so much. She was so much on the attack. It didn't make you want to look inside her deeper and actually want to help her. But now they talk about how they play Scrabble together, they laugh together, they have a lot of fun. And we've even seen this on the after party where Jasmina talks about what a great man Michael is, how much fun they have, how much laughter they do, because now she is seeing as well. But now she talks about she doesn't have any emotional attachment to Michael. See, here's this other masking again. See, Jasmina is not emotionally intelligent. What she's talking about is Michael hasn't started touching her. He hasn't created any romance. Now that is true, but you gotta understand why he never did it, Jasmina. You're right. He hasn't made a move. And I like Michael's sister's advice to him. Make a small move. Do something. Touch her more. Hold her hand more. Do something small. But Michael has got to make a move on Jasmina, because although Jasmina tries to push Michael away, the truth of the matter is she actually needs Michael to come more towards her. Even Jasmina says she's not closed off. She's not closed off to the affection of Michael. Well, this is a whole different story. At the beginning of the episode, Jasmina was saying not only did she not want to be married to Michael, she said she didn't even want to be around him. You see how things have turned around? I do like that we heard that Jasmina was doing a lot of the cooking. I didn't know if she was cooking for Michael because all we saw was Michael doing stuff. But we find out Jasmina was doing a lot of cooking, so he decided to cook for her. We find out that Jasmina can't drive, so Michael's been doing all the errands and running around with Feeny and all the other kind of stuff. But I do like to hear the fact that Jasmina was actually doing something kind for Michael, because before that, we never saw any of that. Jasmina said that if things stayed this way, they could develop an emotional connection going forward. But here is where I'm scared for these two. I'm scared that they won't have enough time to build that emotional connection because of so much damage has been done. And here's the other problem. If they were really bold people, if they were really courageous, what they would do is they would say yes on decision day, and they will give their marriage more time, because I actually believe they can get there. But here's the thing. They're actually not both bold people, and Jasmina is scary. And so what Jasmina may do is she may not have the courage to say yes and see this thing through. She may just cut it off on decision day. And let me tell you, that would be a big mistake if she does that. I do these other videos on the side. I talk about marriage conversations, and I did a video on about marriage is not for scary people. You all should check it out, because that video I did epitomizes Jasmina. You cannot make it in marriage if you are a scary person. I say that over and over again. If any of you guys watch Love is Blind and you saw the decision that Iyanna made with Jared, that took a bold person. A scary person wouldn't have said yes to Jared. They would have been scared. But Iyanna stepped out on faith. She put aside her ego and her pride, and she put away her fear, and she took a chance on love. And that's actually what Jasmina and Michael need to do. They actually need to take a chance on love. I know they're scared, and Jasmina is more scared than anyone else, but they both need to put that aside and take a chance. And you know what, you guys? If they did that, if they said yes on decision day, I actually think these two could make it. I am now going to be sorely disappointed if these two don't say yes on decision day, because I think it's going to be an opportunity missed. Talk to you later. Bye.